Hey guys, what's up to video 2 of writing your Huck Finn essay. And today I'm going to give you a short introduction into introductions. And the idea that I gave it to you all in class was this idea of an acronym. It's called HATMAT, HATMAT, HATMAT. And it's definitely not the only way to write an introduction. It's just a good way to get started. If you're a person who likes frameworks, to be able to fill in and work within, so you're not having to start everything from scratch, this hopefully is really helpful to you. So what HATMAT stands for is hook, author, title, main characters, a short summary, and then your thesis. Remember, we started with our thesis with the previous video. So also remember that these aren't always sentences. These are the ideas that you need to get at with your introduction. So don't be confined to say like, okay, my introduction has to be 6 sentences because there's 6 bullet points. It doesn't work like that. Your hook may be 2 or 3 sentences, and then you may wrap all of these up in one sentence. So a period does not define whether you've completed a task or not. It's all based on your ideas. Did you convey everything that you needed to convey, regardless of how many sentences you have or not? So what we're going to start off with here today is we've already got our thesis. Remember, our thesis was, and I went back and updated this a little bit because that thesis I wrote in the last video was, well, it was a rough draft, and now I updated it to say a little bit better. So my thesis is Mark Twain uses Huck Finn's moral development to show society that complacency, the idea of letting bad things happen and not doing something about it, is morally wrong, and taking action against evil in the world can help create positive change. So I'm saying Huck Finn's actions really show that people need to change and need to be open to change. And they can't just sit by and let bad things happen, especially to good people. So that's my idea. That's what I'm kind of leading up to. So the hook that I kind of want to go with, hooks are generalizations about topics. They're sort of a broad aspect of your idea. So some things, before I get down to that really specific idea of Huck's development causes people to think about complacency, I want to step back and think, okay, what is morality in general? What does it mean to be a good person? What does it mean to stand up for what is right? And so some ideas that I thought about before that I brainstormed before I even wrote down my hook or my thesis was, why is morality important? Or maybe why and how do people develop over the course of their lives? Like, what gives us the sense of, okay, this is the right thing to do and this is the wrong thing to do? Or even, what role does morality play in our day-to-day lives? Answering any of those questions will be broad enough to get your reader to start thinking about, okay, this is what the paper is going to be about. I can follow this. I'm on board. I think thinking about morality is a good thing. So my idea is a really broad one. I just start off by thinking about, okay, what is morality? And how is it shaped in a person? So really broad. And I don't just come out and say morality is this, it's shaped in a person by this. But I kind of morph that into one more complex sentence. So I say, morality, a person's compass between right and wrong, is shaped uniquely through the experiences that a person has throughout life. That's going to be the start of my essay. And then so everyone who reads this essay knows that, oh, Mr. Estad's going to talk about morality. That's good. But I don't just kind of want to leave it there. I wanted to add another sentence to my hook, the H in the HATMAT. So I pushed it a little bit further. And I gave some specific examples of how people maybe shape their own morality. So I continue that by saying a parental scolding, a particularly strong sense of guilt, a wrongdoing onto a loved one are all potential instances of solidification of conscience and morality, just meaning that a person's conscience gets formed, solidifies, by watching these acts. And I specifically picked these because of Huckleberry Finn, right? His dad scolds him really, really hard and kind of teaches him some rough lessons about life, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, right? Because he learns not to stand up to bad people because of his Pap's, hard backhand. I picked this one definitely because Huck feels guilt in a very real way. He is so torn up about helping Jim escape, and he feels so bad about it that he almost turns in his only friend in the world to a couple of slave hunters. But he also sees a lot of bad things happen to Jim. And I would say Jim would be a loved one. And so throughout this book, Huck is sort of reflecting on what's happened to Jim. He gets betrayed at the very end of the book and gets sold back into slavery. Spoiler alert. And that's terrible. And Huck witnesses that, and that really helps develop who he is as a person. And I think that really kicks him out of this idea of, okay, I can't just sit here anymore and take it. I can't just watch bad people do bad things. I have to stand up to them. So in this way, I'm really directing my hook back to my thesis, this idea of thesis being morally wrong. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to build my introduction towards this idea. So working through my hat mat, I've got my hook written. Morality, a person's compass between right and wrong, is shaped uniquely through the experience a person has throughout life, blah, blah, blah. And then I need to do the ATMAT, which is author, title, main characters, and a short summary. So I might say Mark Twain, in his novel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. So I've got my author and title. Mark Twain is author, writes about a young boy, Huck, escaping his abusive father, let's say with the help of a runaway slave. That covers my author, my title, my main characters that I'm going to talk about, and a brief summary of the story, right? Huck, Jim, escape down the river. That's pretty much it. And now I'm going to drop in my thesis. I'm going to look here, and I see there's a little bit of a disconnect. I can't quite go right from, well, they run away to Huck moral development. I think I need a little bit more summary here to really get at this idea before my thesis of Huck's developing morally and fighting complacency. So I might say, on their journey, they are faced with many trials and come across many questionable people doing bad deeds throughout the South. Spell that correctly. There we go. I can even go a little bit further. Seeing this causes Huck, a teenager, learn to grow up. How's that? And then I can connect this idea of growing up to developing morally. And there we go. I've got my hook, large, broad statement. I've got my author, my title, which should be italicized. I've got my brief summary, and then I've got my thesis. And that's a hat mat. That could be an easy introduction. Well, I won't say easy because it takes a little bit to get out. But that could be the introduction to your paper that covers all your bases. All right. Good luck.